Dropsy is one of those pain in the butt things you don't want to deal with, but I have to deal with it again, so I want to talk about dropsy, the different methods you can use to fight against it. But in the end, it's one of them things that are hard to get rid of, but I feel it's worth the try. I'm the type of guy that'll spend $60 in meds to save a guppy. So let's talk about this. Let's get right into it. Check it out. You don't want to miss this because I've learned a lot of different methods over the years and what works and what does not work. So basically what dropsy is, you want to understand it so you know how to treat it. It's always better to understand something than just not know what it is and what it does and all that stuff. So what dropsy is basically it's a buildup of excess fluid in the fish's body that they can't get rid of it. And how fish get rid of excess fluids is through osmosis and urination and out of their gills and things like this. I've done a video on this too, on how fish breathe and what everything that does. But with dropsy, you know, because of that, it starts inflaming the internal organs and it puffs them up, and you know, it looks like they're bloated. And this could be from a few things. It could be anywhere from constipation, they're sucking too much air, eating at the surface, which if you have goldfish, my suggestion is to only use sinking pellets and sinking food. You don't want them going up doing that because they are more susceptible to getting this bloat and this disease. It's also a bacteria that causes inflammation of the internal organs as well as the excess fluid. So there's a lot of things that can cause this, and once they get it, a lot of people just write these fish off, but you know, it is a hard thing to beat. So let's talk about now the different methods that you can use to treat dropsy and what I have used and what doesn't work, where it has not worked. When it comes to dropsy right away, I always wanted to go right to the aquarium salt. Aquarium salt is great for a lot of things, and it also helps aid medication. In my case, I got a little puffer back here that he's pretty big, so I'm hitting him with all these methods to see if I can beat it. So aquarium salt is going to help them breathe better, osmosis, and draw some of that excess fluid out, right? And I also went ahead and meted the tank, and I used API General Cure and API erythromycin in combination with the salt. That's going to really help be a good front of the line defense for this thing right off. Now, I was also in Dan Everyday Fish Keeping live last night, and I was talking to him and some other members of the chat. The guy's name was Barry, and I knew about this method, I just never tried it. And he mentioned about doing Epsom salt baths. And I figured, hey, what the heck, let's try it. I haven't tried it before. Let's add that to the repertoire and see if we can beat this thing. So I started it last night, and what that is 1 tablespoon of Epsom salt per 1 gallon of water. So I've got a little 2-gallon bucket here that I use for when I'm doing maintenance, and I filled it up with 2 gallons, and then I put it in a larger 5-gallon bucket, and I put an air stone in there too. So during the time he's soaking in the salt, there's a little bit more oxygen in there, because when fish have issues like this, they're already stressed. And then when you're moving them out and you're medding the tank, all this stuff adds stress, and stress is the #1 killer of fish too. So I try to reduce as much stress as possible when dealing with these type of situations. So I scooped them up, I put them in there, and then you want to let them soak in an Epsom salt bath for 30 minutes. I did 30 minutes. You can add a little bit more salt than the recommended dose, which I'm going to play with too, because I want to see how much I can put in there, because the more salt you have in there, and the idea behind this is it pulls this excess fluid out of the fish's body, helping to reduce that inflammation. Now, I will say I did it last night, and I did see a little bit of an improvement in the fish's abdomen. So you're going to want to do this every day for a week. So as a recap, we know what dropsy is, and we know what it does. It can also pop the eyes out because they're getting filled with excess fluid, because it has nowhere to go, nowhere to go, so it starts going everywhere. So if you have dropsy, if you have bloat in a fish, which it's kind of hard to miss because they bloat up, first line of defense is put some aquarium salt in your aquarium. Go ahead and add the meds, API General Cure, API erythromycin, with my go-tos. And every day for the next 7 days, do an Epsom salt bath for the fish. Depending on how big he is, you might need more gallons of water. Just know you need 1 tablespoon of Epsom salt per 1 gallon of water. And if you can add a little bit more to help even pull some more of that fluid out, that's going to be good to go. When you're feeding fancy goldfish, never feed floating fish or floating foods or floating flakes. You want everything that sinks to go to the bottom to avoid them from going up and go up in air. Reduce stress as much as possible, and so try these 3 things, and use high quality food as well. High quality food is very important, and you need to make sure you get high fiber in their diet. Another thing that you can do to help combat this naturally, which I've been doing as well, like I said, I've been hitting him with all the methods, is I use raw garlic. You go to the store, you get raw garlic, you peel it, you rinse it off, and you chop it up real fine. The smaller the better, because it's easy, it breaks down easier. The only downside of using this raw garlic is it makes your whole house stink, makes the tank stink like garlic, which, you know, I don't like the smell of garlic just because it smells like someone with bad breath, right? And another thing you can do is feed peas. You need to always make sure that you have fiber in your goldfish's diet, veggies and all this stuff, because it's important to them. Vary diets, give these fish different things. So right now I've been doing the peas, the garlic, the meds, the aquarium salt, and the Epsom salt bath. And we're gonna see if he gets better. He's in this tank here. He was over here a little bit ago. He's over here. This guy right here, he's bloated up bad. And last night when I come home, he was rolling on his side and flipping upside down, which is the first time he's been doing that. And since I've been doing all this additional stuff, as you can see, he's swimming around, and I did see a little bit of reduction in his inflammation after the Epsom salt bath. So far the Epsom salt bath seemed to have been the one that helped the most. So that's it, little video on Dropsy. If you have any comments or questions, let me know. If you have any advice for me as well, let me know. I like to learn too. Dropsy is something I've been trying to see what I can do and try all this different stuff to beat it and share my experience with, because I hate it. It's stupid. Let's get rid of it. Let's avoid it. So thanks for watching, guys.